Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Just on my way to work. And I think today I'm going to tell y'all a couple of quick stories. I had something else that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to save it for Monday since today is Valentine's Day and tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to tell some stories related to Valentine's Day for me today, and then I'll save my other topic for Monday. And I'm going to try to cut out the ums, but the problem is that people that are driving in front of me aren't very intelligent, and so I'm having to pay a ton of attention to them. So I'll do my best to cut the ums out. So my first story is my good story. It's a cute little story. I don't know that I've ever told this story to anybody. I don't remember that I have. So this may be a first for everyone to hear. So when I was a little kid, you know, went to elementary school and we did the Valentine's cards. And so what we would do a couple of days before is make a little mailbox. And then kids would bring Valentine's cards and put them in the little mailboxes. So I was putting the Valentines in the mailboxes in class, and everybody was up doing it, walking around. And there was one girl that I guess she had already put all hers in when we first came back from recess, and so she was sitting at her desk when everybody else was putting their Valentine's cards in the little mailboxes. So I just happened to say Happy Valentine's Day to her. I might have been 7 at the time, I think. And so she's told me Happy Valentine's Day back. And then I went and sat at my desk and everybody opened cards and we got candy and had a little party and all that. And so then might have been maybe a week and a half later, my dad used to deliver newspapers. He worked for the newspaper and then he delivered them also, and we delivered them by moped. So I would sit on the back of the moped and hand him papers and he would throw them. And so we just happened to go by. We might have been collecting because I know it was in the afternoon, early evening. We drove down this road and there was like a little farm, and we pulled up and I just happened to see that girl that I had said Happy Valentine's Day to. And I don't remember her name now. I wish I could, but it's been a long time ago. So my dad talked to her mom, you know, about the bill, and she went and got some money for the bill, and I was talking to the little girl, and she said, I want to show you something, I'll be right back. And I said, okay. And so she ran over to their little barn, and she pulls this little pony back out of the barn and walks him over to the fence. And I'm not much of a horse person. If you know me, I just don't deal with horses. I had an opportunity to ride one time at a church camp. I passed. The kid that rode him ended up getting, the horse got spooked and pulled him through a mesquite patch and actually like messed him up pretty bad. So not much for horses. So anyway, she brought the horse over and I was petting the horse, and I said, yeah, it's pretty cool. When did you get the horse? And she said, I got it for Christmas. But she said, we hadn't named him yet. And I was like, you haven't named him yet? And she said, well, I did on Valentine's Day. And I was like, really? What did you name him? And she said, I named him Frank. And I was like, really? And she goes, yeah, I named him after you. She said, because you're the only person that said Happy Valentine's Day to me. So at that point, I figured out that, you know, she had a little crush on me, and I kind of had a little crush on her. Of course, you know, you're 7 years old. There's not much you can do but see each other at school and be nice and carry books and stuff like that. So, so that's pretty much that story. So she named her horse after me, which is pretty cool when you think about it. You know, her parents saved up, and at the time the place we lived in, they had a petroleum plant there in town, and this wasn't in Dallas-Fort Worth. It was actually up in northern Oklahoma, and when we lived there a little bit when I was little. And so there wasn't a whole lot of jobs because the oil industry hadn't kicked back in yet from the gas crisis and all that. So, you know, that was a big honor, you know, especially when you're a little kid and somebody, and then she was telling kids at school, yeah, I named my horse after Frank, and everybody's like, really? That's pretty cool, you know, and other kids would be like, oh, that's cool, she named her horse after you. And so I've always thought about that, and I always think about that every Valentine's Day, about how that little girl named her horse after me. So that was a pretty cool story. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a bad story now, because I'm not all rainbows and sunshine and Mr. Nice Guy all the time. I try to be. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I was about to turn 21 because my birthday's the day after. So that Valentine's Day I was actually dating a girl who was younger than I was, and so my thought process in my head was, while I'm about to turn 21, I can legally go drink and go out and party and go hang out with my best friend who was older, or him and I had been friends for a while, and we were really, like, you know, starting to hang out a lot more. And he's the one that I told you about in the story yesterday. And so I thought about it, and I thought, you know, it's not fair to her because I'm going to be living this totally, completely different lifestyle and going out and partying, and she's going to sit at home because she can't go. And so I was like really debating it, and it didn't click in my head that it was Valentine's Day, because I don't really celebrate Valentine's. You know, my birthday's the next day, so it all kind of bleeds together. So, needless to say, on Valentine's Day, not realizing it was Valentine's, just thinking that tomorrow's your birthday, you're going to be 21, you're going to get trashed, I broke up with her. The excuse I gave her was that I was turning 21 and I didn't think it was fair to either one of us for us to continue dating and basically me have this completely different life other than her, and then feel like she was being an afterthought in all of this. So, you know, which sounds really nice. If I would have done it on any other day, it probably would have. If I would have done it a month earlier, and just said, listen, my birthday's coming up in a month, you know, I'm going to be going out and partying with my friends, you know, and you can't go to the bars, and I feel bad, and I don't want you to be, you know, just somebody I come and hang out with on my, you know, when I'm not hanging out with my friends and going to parties and stuff. You know, it wouldn't have been as bad, but to do it on Valentine's Day was pretty low, even for me. So I felt really bad, and she got really upset, and it didn't click. I thought, well, she's going to be upset because we've been dating for a while, but you know, she'll get over it. And then somebody pointed out to me that I broke up with her on Valentine's Day, and I go, what? They were like, tomorrow's your birthday, dumbass. Today's Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh my God. So needless to say, I had to go apologize. And I apologized to her and was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was Valentine's Day. I mean, it doesn't change how I feel about the situation. But that's kind of how it is. You know, I'm going to turn 21, and it's not fair to you. I don't want you to be the person that I just call when I'm drunk to come over and hang out, you know, or I come over, you know, after partying with my friends for the weekend, and I come over a couple of nights a week and see you. It's not fair. That's not being a boyfriend. So we broke up, and then the next night I was hanging out with my best friend, and he's getting me drunk for the first time, which is a completely different story, which I will share. I may share that tomorrow. That actually is a good story to share tomorrow. So I had been partying with my friend, and we were all drunk and nobody could drive. So I was like, well, I'll just walk home. It's only like 4 or 5 miles. It's not that big of a deal. It was pretty much a straight shot. He lived behind a mall in Arlington. And then all I had to do was walk from his apartment, walk through the mall parking lot, and walk down this street that would dead end into the mall. And I lived on that street. I just lived at the other end. And so I had to walk all that way, and I was pretty hammered. But, and I was living with my parents at the time. They had a pretty strict policy about me coming home intoxicated. So a lot of times after that, if I was drinking, I would just stay wherever I was at. But you'll know why tomorrow I didn't stay at my friend's house. But so I walk home, and I'm like, oh crap, my parents are going to be home any minute. They had went out, their anniversary is on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, so they had went out to dinner on my birthday night because they knew that I was going out with my friends and they would just take me out later. So I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't have any place else to go. So I called the ex-girlfriend and said, would you come over here and help me make something to eat and sober me up before my parents get home and I get kicked out. So you would think she would have hung up on me, but she was really nice, and she came over and she made me something to eat, and we were just sitting, and they kind of had a no girl policy too in the house, but they knew her and trusted her, so it wasn't that big of a deal, and we were sitting in the living room. So she makes me something to eat, and I'm sitting in the living room eating. My parents asked me, you know, how hanging out with my friends was, and I was like, it was alright. Had a couple of beers, came home, and then I went to put my dishes up, and my mom's like, didn't you break up with her? And I'm like, yeah, but we've been talking, and I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We ended up getting back together and just made it work. Unfortunately, things, you know, kind of got squirrely between us, and we ended up breaking up about 1.5 years later. But I always feel really bad. That's always my bad story for Valentine's, because I think, oh, this girl named her horse after me, so sweet, and I broke up with this girl and broke her heart on Valentine's Day years later, 13 years later, or 14 years later. And so I think about that. That's something that definitely crosses my mind, and if I ever have a daughter, I definitely don't want them to have to put up with a guy that would break up with them on Valentine's Day or before a holiday to keep from having to buy them something. If you care about somebody, you don't want to split up with them. You want to stay with them. And if you don't care about them, don't wait till right before a holiday. Just do it. Just get it over with. Don't string them along. There's no point in it. So, I'm nearly to work now. But those are my stories for Valentine's Day. And I hope everybody has a really good Valentine's Day. I'll be working. Hopefully they bring us something, a treat or something to work. We'll see. They're not normally known for it, but we'll see if somebody brings something today. But you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. And be prepared for the 21st birthday story. It's pretty crazy. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.